Hi, welcome to another episode of ASEAN Kita, where today, Amirul, it's a very special episode because it's a guest that I met the other day in Terengganu for ESG Global Young the Summit 2024. And as Malaysia prepares to assume the chairman of ASEAN in 2025, the region is looking towards the future of environmental policy. And of course, what are the promising developments on the horizon in this segment? We will be exploring the policies that offer hopes for the region's sustainable future and how Malaysia can lead the charge. And environmental, social, and governance (ESG) issues are also becoming more important than ever, especially when young activists and women take the lead. That's why we are having her.
Yes, Farhan. To kick things off, we are joined by a passionate environmental advocate all the way from the Philippines, as we are eager to hear about what inspired her to take these crucial actions in this crucial field, and her opinions on ASEAN's role in mitigating environmental issues happening across its nation, Farhan. And thank you, Mary Jane Lamoste, or MJ, who's a marine biologist and Sustainable Ocean Alliance Asia representative, for joining us. Thank you, MJ, for joining us today. Perhaps we could start by sharing a bit about what inspired you to get into this crucial field, MJ.
Hi again, good morning. To begin with, let's go back to how I started. So as a child, I have always been drawn to the nature. So I grew up in the mountains, and I only got to see the ocean once a year. And for me, it was one of the most amazing, most memorable experience as a child. So when I decided to took course in university, there was no further discussion with my parents. I did go straight to biology, majoring marine biology, and then doing those courses, I was actively involved in volunteer work. So especially directly related to the ocean. So spending hours snorkeling. I did move to doing research work for Mobola fishery. And so it was kind of innate for me to explore research expedition. And some of the research I was involved is scientific diving for coral reefs, um, marine mammal survey. I also did Mobola fishery and sea turtle research awareness.
Yeah, I think people are anticipating policies that are related to the environment, especially for Malaysia's chairmanship in ASEAN next year. Well, as someone who is deeply invested in the region's environmental future, what are you most hopeful about when it comes to policies related to environment?
Mhm. Um, there's a lot of existing policies already. I think it's a matter of hoping that the policies, especially the one related to the environments, are implemented alongside with the communities who are going to be directly impacted or benefit these environmental policies. And then I have been in the environmental advocacy for over 10 years. And I have seen both sides, like the success of a policy. It boils down to how aware and involved the community in creating and during the process of the creation of the policies.
As we all know, Malaysia is going to chair the ASEAN Summit in 2025. MJ, what are your thoughts on the progress of the EOG Green ASEAN initiative so far?
Mhm. I was quite excited to hear when I saw the ASEAN 25. It's like, oh, this is something not in my radar at the moment. So in a space where I'm now, I think it's really useful. I can see that Eco Green initiative in the ASEAN region have become first collaborative. Second, it has become inclusive. Third, it has become resilient, especially during and after pandemic. So I was able to witness youth leaders, startups, mentors, and founders coming together to support in crafting solution that can be implemented simultaneously. And then if I check my LinkedIn right now, I will have at least 10 opportunities like fellowship, grant, policy campaigns that I can easily share to my youth network. So way back when I was starting, I have to scramble to find all these things, and now it's in our hands, it's in your hands to choose which path and opportunities you will be prioritizing.
Hmm. Well, Mary, I believe that there are many initiatives, to galvanize youth movements to champion issues related to the environment. So, in your view, how do young environmental activists like yourself and myself and Amirul, influence policies in ASEAN? What could be done to give youth advocates and, even stronger voice in these discussions?
Recently, I've recently seen a news of a friend of mine, so who's been working in um, mangrove restoration in the Philippines. So he posted an open letter to an airline company, which is Cebu Pacific. So as part of the um, CSR, or it's called the corporate responsibility resilience of a company, they do environmental, I guess, activities to support the environment. So what they did is they conducted mangrove planting. So a good initiative, but indeed ended up harming the ecosystem. So they planted the wrong mangrove species in a wrong location. So with that open letter, how was it? With that open letter, in just one day, the Cebu Pacific reach out to them and have like a call apologizing. They provide like an open letter of like, I guess, apologizing to the Philippines that what they did was wrong. They learned from it. And then for their next future CSR campaigns, they're gonna be involving um, expertise, science, to make it more sustainable, and how do you say, more sustainable, and basically involving the community. And I think by just using our voice, using our access to social media, to our using our own platform, we can already address these problems. We are not the one that, how do you say, we are not really the one creating those policies, but we can influence how these policies is implemented in the local community's future.
MJ, as we all know, women play an important part in today's generation, and in terms of leadership, and a lot of the initiative involves women nowadays. And as a woman yourself, how do you see the role of women in ESG leadership evolving, especially in coastal communities where you work, and maybe what unique perspectives do they bring to the table, MJ?
Hmm. Okay, so I have been working in the ocean space for a while now. I work at Sustainable Ocean Alliance, which was founded by women when she was 19 years old. I ran Tagpi alongside with women entrepreneurs for 4 years now. So basically, I'm surrounded with inspiring and hardworking women who is actively involved in ESG. And the way we approach the work is through nurturing the people we work with. We approach the communities with a mindset that these communities don't need our perspective. We need their perspective for the success of our work. And I think that's how basically we can bring more table, because we don't see ourselves as experts. We see ourselves as basically the branches that brings that information to the roots of a tree.
Yeah. Perhaps you could share like what kind of perspective that women may have that are different from what men have.
Oh, that's a good question. Um, I think, for example, in line with the work that I do with Tagpi Tagpi, so the women they have been really productive in managing their finances. So, for example, they're earning money from us, and one of the aspects that I've seen that they are really, you know, leading their finances is that they were able to separate like funds for their like, let's just call it emergency fund, funds for fun, and then that funds for fun, we were able to go to like family trips during weekend. We go to snorkeling activities, and I think just having that thought that you hold the power to make a decision regardless if you are within your family, within a society governed mostly by men. I think holding your voice in like tiny decisions, whatever you're doing, is already a good how do you say, role that a woman should see, qualities of a woman, whatever leadership she wants to be involved with.
MJ, interesting that you brought up about Tapi Tapi, as a social entrepreneur and a founder of Tapi Tapi Upcycling Initiative. How do you balance economic empowerment and with environmental sustainability in your initiatives?
Okay, I think for the past 4 years, it has always been trial and error. So some things work really well, like the next moment it does not. But I think we stay true to the vision of Tagpi Tagpi, that we want to empower women in the rural coastal areas through, like providing them the economic support and also the awareness of the environment that they live on. So to say, I think it has always been I serve with integrity and purpose, and I think that has always been Tagpi Tagpi's mission. Like if you we created Tagpi Tagpi for the purpose of empowering women. So I think until to this date, we have stayed aligned with it. Methods have changed, formula have changed, but I think the mission is still there, and I think that's how a business will be sustained. Like whatever economic, environmental sustainability you are looking into, I think you have that in place already.
Yeah, Mary Jane, is it a challenge? Do you think is it a challenge for you to convince what you guys are doing actually, brings impacts to the world? Like, if there are challenges, perhaps you could share. What are some of the challenges that you have been facing, perhaps?
I think one of the challenges until now, like in address, it's like sharing our stories, right? So, first is we have a limited number of people. Our team are voluntary, so basically that's already one limiting factor, that we are not active in social media as much as we want to. But then we are given a platform. Like I have given the opportunity to go abroad to attend these conferences, and I think that's the platform that you can really amplify what you're doing on the ground, because these people, they see your initiative as a solution. They don't just see you as like a business, like trying to exploit women. So let's just set as an example. I'm not generalizing it, but the nature of there's still a gap between social enterprise in the Philippines and when you go to abroad. So for example, a social enterprise in the Philippines, when a customer sees it, the first thing that they see is, oh, it's so expensive. So they don't see the story. But when you go abroad, they don't even ask how much is it. They always ask like, oh, how was it created? Who created it? What was the material? So basically having a more bigger platform to showcase social entrepreneurs' work or like activities in their respective communities makes a lot of I guess you gain more boost for you to continue, because we need that. We need that as social entrepreneurs. And I think having that just having that access to global platform opportunities like this already gives us a moral support to continue what we're doing.
All right, that's Mary Jane Lemos, Marine Biologist and Sustainable Ocean Alliance Asia representative. There's still a lot to unpack, Farhan, in our discussion towards a greener ASEAN, but we'll take a short break and we'll be right back after this.
Sambut Tahun Baharu bersama kami. Di sinilah kisah kita bermula. Kisah yang meraihkan kehidupan.
Full of life and flavour.
Kisah yang membuat kita tabah.
Tell them the truth.
了解黑幕上，再见，动不会老。
胜利是靠争取的。
இதெல்லாம் பார்க்கறதுக்கான திரும்பி உயிரோட வந்தேன்
The truth is always stranger than fiction.
Kisah yang mendorong kita.
太拘束，安排这卡死的。
Kisah yang membentuk kita.
It's like dreams come true.
We do make a pretty good team when we work together.
Being the Dragon Warrior, it's who I am!
Kisah yang mendebarkan jiwa. Ini kisah kita.
No matter where history began, they end with one hell of a story.
Stream kesemuanya bila-bila masa, apa jua cara. Semuanya di satu tempat.
Hi, welcome back to ASEAN Kita. We were discussing about eco-vision towards a greener ASEAN with Mary Jane Lamoste, MJ. She's a marine biologist and Sustainable Ocean Alliance Asia representative. Mary Jane, what lessons have you learned from your work with Takpi and, that could help other young leaders who are interested in building ESG-driven businesses?
One thing I've always told the youth leaders I met with, the best time to start your ESG-driven business is today. And mentors and experts will give you the guidance, but by the end of the day, you create the formula on how to run your business.
I want to bring this discussion to an issue that is considered a hot topic in ASEAN, MJ, such as marine pollution, especially plastic waste. It remains a significant challenge to ASEAN countries, including Malaysia itself. What policies or grassroots movements do you think are the most effective in addressing such issues, MJ?
This is one of the ocean issues that I'm always like, up and down comments, because as far as I can remember, it has been actively, campaign against plastic pollution. And I think part of the existing efforts of the country, the Philippines, is that they are working with bigger companies because, I think the effort at the beginning is we started on the ground with the communities. But then, they don't have a choice, right? They just go to warung and buy the cheapest shampoo sachet. So the focus now is more on like targeting companies for them to basically improve their method. Like, for example, improve their packaging, improve their waste facility, recycling facility. And I think that's one of the ways to increase or to fasten the the movement towards plastic waste, pushing for change. And then what the last one will be really education, like ocean literacy related to plastic waste in the country. And there are many ways of doing it, like I don't know, like social media, innovation, plastic innovation, creating new products out of it. But it always goes back, like by the end of the day, each one of us has responsibility. We need to be accountable of our own action. If your family cannot do it, why not you start it on your own, and maybe you become an influence for them to start little by little.
And another issue on marine diversity issue is that coral reefs still remain a crucial part of marine biodiversity, MJ, and it has been heavily impacted with climate change. How can ASEAN countries collectively ensure their protection and rehabilitation, MJ? Your thoughts on this?
Okay, I really like this topic. So the protection of the coral reef is it's really huge, right? Like this is one of the environment that we don't have a control, because it's heavily affected. It depends on the sun, it depends on the rain. But one thing for sure, for protection, I would say we need to be mindful when we do coral reef restoration, because some researchers have seen that instead of restoring an environment that was degraded by, I don't know, like coral bleaching, um, how do you say, erosion, organization, they started like replanting or coral restoration. It ended up affecting the whole ecosystem. Instead of saving it, it got worse. So they were, I was reading a scientific article the other day that why not just let it be? You know, nature heals on its own. And I would say the least we could do is like, you know, like collect the plastic that like scatter around. If we go to a touristic place for snorkeling, let's be mindful that as how do you say, like the one a polyp, a corals, they only grow 1 centimeter per year. So I have this notion, like recently we have this choral activity with the youth. So basically we use the power of fear. So we tell it's true though, it's implemented, it's a rule implemented. So if any guide, any bantay dagat, we call it's like reef ranger. So if any reef rangers see you stepping in a coral, you're gonna have fines of I think it's 10 U 10 US dollar. So we use the fees like, okay, you're free to swim, but if you how do you say, if you step on a coral, make sure you have 10 US dollars. So I think it's more. It's 2,500 in Philippine peso. I think it's more, but
Okay.
it I think it's useful for the youth because they are still like hyper vigilant. They still at the stage of like, oh my God, I don't want to create any um trouble. So I don't know, like methods needs to adapt whoever whoever is the audience.
Mhm.
Yeah. Uh, MJ, do you think that despite all these efforts and measures, in mitigating this issue, it all goes back to how the policies are implemented, and if so, what do you think still lacks in terms of policies, and what needs to be emphasized in all of these policies?
Mhm. Policy. This is really interesting topic for me. So I think for me the policy implementation, it always boils down of how involved the community, who is the benefactor or the caretaker of that specific environment. So for example, if you create an MPA in a specific area and you didn't tell the community that it's an MPA, of course they're gonna still go fishing because that's their livelihood. And imagine if they create a marine protected area with like a meeting with the like the community, creation of zonation, which area they can only fish, basically give them the right information, why it's needed, why they need to be involved. It create a sense of how do you say, belongingness. It create a sense of like, we own this place, we're gonna take care of this. And I think a policy to be well implemented, it needs to have that section of like, community needs to be the caretaker of that specific area being protected.
Yeah, let's go back to Malaysia's chairmanship for ASEAN 2025. The Philippines has been hit hard, by several disasters like Typhoon Yagi and Mani recently. So, as a Filipino, as a someone who lives in Philippines, right? What do you think ASEAN can do together to help countries to better prepare for these disasters, and what role can Malaysia play during its chairmanship?
Mhm. Yeah, we have typhoon is such a heavy topic for me because I live in an island that was just hit by 3 typhoons in the last 3 weeks. And I think even until today, like typhoon has been, I think the typhoon has always been part of our lives.
Yeah.
And I think for me, it's more on like, I have maybe 2 things in mind. It's more on like spreading the right information. Like I've been moving abroad And sometimes I overhear someone, they're receiving the wrong news, or they're like disseminating the wrong information towards the principal. Oh my God, there's like 100 people died already in this specific location. I'm from the Philippines. I don't even have that information. Like, where are you getting that information? So for me as a like, you know, as a Malaysian citizen, for in camaraderie of, you know, your ASEAN regions, I think the best way is to ensure that if you're like spreading information, don't just share what is in Facebook. Go to the source. We have few news outlet who are, you know, who are really on the ground, going there in times of this crisis. And the second one would be, I guess, cross collaboration, especially like if other ASEAN countries have figured out how do you say, like rescue movements, like, you know, rescue planning, risk and reduction um, team. I feel like we Philippines are still behind. We based on my understanding, we don't even have much. I think we have rescuers that are well capacitated to do the rescue, but then we don't even have the materials in doing the rescue. We don't have like you know, like speedboats that can go there easily, and it's really sad to see that, right? And the third one, lastly, I guess, is to actively support rescue organization. There are one accredited by I think I can mention a few, like Angat Buhay. It's like Uplift Life. It was a foundation created by Lenny Robredo, the previous vice president. So she created this this organization to assist, you know, to it's more on to mobilize volunteers during this rescue typhoon. And I think just the power of using whatever resources you have. If you're good at like finding where is the closest pharmacy, where is the closest airplane, like rescue helicopter, the speedboat, if it is already in place, or if ASEAN countries have better you know, better method of like rescue preparation, I think that's one thing that, you know, like you can even directly address it to youth organization that you already exist. I know for sure like there's effort in the government, but then if we can do it on our own, why not start it, like, you know, right away? We can mobilize like right on the spot if it's needed right away.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's Mary Jane Lamost. She's a marine biologist and Sustainable Ocean Alliance Asia representative. And thank you for joining us, MJ. Well, Farhan, I guess that's all the time we have for today's episode of ASEAN Kita, where we explore the policies that offer hope for the region towards a greener ASEAN. And that's all for us today, Farhan. And I'm Amirul Aiman.
I'm Farhan Hakimi signing off. See you next time.